Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will be answering the questions that you asked me about turning 30, about my 20s, and about entering my 30s. One of the first questions was, did you ever feel lost in your 20s and how did you deal with it? Definitely I felt lost in my 20s. I think especially in my early 20s. I think that's true for most people. I don't want to generalize, but yeah, I think it is true because that's the time where you don't know who you are. You're still discovering your likes, your dislikes, you're still discovering your talents, your skills, you're still discovering your confidence, your self-esteem, and that's the time you are transitioning from being a student to maybe working or doing your higher studies, but you're transitioning into real life, adult life, and that's a scary time and you do feel kind of lost. I think I personally took a lot of time to figure out who I was, and I think I could only truly say that I figured out post turning 25 and in my second half of the 20s, because the first half was chaotic. The first half was filled with a lot of emotions and roller coasters. It was filled with a lot of doubts and just worries and fears, and yeah, I was lost. And I think that is a process. If you go through it, you needed to go through it. So if you are feeling lost and if you are in your 20s, I would encourage you to keep going, because you're not going to be lost forever. There is always going to be a turning point as long as you are seeking to find that turning point. Because if you are lost and you then wallow in that sense of lost, then you're not going to get out. But if you are actively seeking to find yourself, I think you will find yourself, because that's not something that is always meant to be hidden. It's just a process of uncovering it, and we uncover it through discovering our own selves, building our character, building our qualities, and just building ourselves into people that we would really admire, people that we would really be proud of. And I think in that process of discovering ourselves, we find ourselves, and hopefully we are not lost anymore. The second question is, how did you overcome the challenges of your 20s? If I want to speak about my life, I think one of the challenges, as I said, was finding yourself, discovering yourself. The second challenge is figuring out how to live your life as an adult and learning the skills needed to manage your life, financing your own life, paying the bills, living on your own if that's the case for you. I think those are adulting things that we all have to learn, and that's another challenge. The third challenge is figuring out your career, building your career. It's not easy starting out in any career for that matter, and it is frustrating sometimes, disappointing sometimes. It is not the easiest. We work with people who are not the nicest, but I think the one thing I can say overall, generally, for all challenges that I faced in my 20s was face it head on. Don't escape it. Don't try to escape it. Don't try to escape it by distractions. Don't try to escape it by addictions. Don't try to escape it by just whiling your weekends away, because those weekends are important for you to build your life. And so if you are going through any challenges, whether it is just the general challenge of growing up, face it, because it's a part of life, and until you face it, you're not going to be able to learn from it. Next question is, what were your expectations for your 20s and were they fulfilled? I think when I was in my early 20s, I obviously probably had expectations that usually people have about their career, about their personal life. Though I did start my 20s, like when I turned 20, I started with absolutely nothing, because at the age of 19, I thought I had my life planned out. I thought I had my future planned out, and just 3 or 4 weeks before I turned 20, everything kind of crashed down and crumbled down, and I didn't have any plan. I didn't have anything to look forward to. And so I think going into my 20s, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted from my life. I had absolutely no idea what to expect. But as usual, we all have plans. We all want to build ourselves, build our lives. We want to have a personal life. We want to have a social life. We want to have the most epic career that we can have. And I probably had those expectations. By the time I turned 25, I realized that those expectations in some cases were unrealistic, and I had to kind of dial it back and understand that sometimes the plans that you have for your life are not the best plans for your life. And that is such a big understanding. It will realize that probably what you think is the best is not the best, and there is something that is better, greater, bigger, that you couldn't have even imagined. And I think that is one big lesson I learned in my 20s. When I was able to accept that, I think life became easier because till then I was constantly like fighting with myself, like, why is this not happening? I'm not feeling satisfied, I'm not feeling fulfilled. It was not because the life I had was bad, it was because the life I had was different than what I expected. But when I realized that where I actually was so much better and so much more perfect for me, I think that's when I started living my life. I started enjoying my life. I started feeling more fulfilled. I started making the most of my life, taking the opportunities that were given to me. To answer the question, the expectations that I have had of my 20s did not get fulfilled, for sure, but my life has exceeded my expectations, and where I am right now, who I am right now, is more than I could have imagined for myself, and I am so grateful for that. The next question is, what do you regret about your 20s? Yes, there are situations I could have done without. Yes, there are struggles, obstacles, many things that I could have done without. I also believe that if I had not gone through those struggles, if I had not overcome those obstacles, if I had not experienced those things, I would not be this person sitting here today. So I don't regret anything that happened. If you take those things out of your life which you think would have made your life easier, you might end up being a completely different person. We have to go through certain places in order to get to where we need to get, and to actually be fulfilled in that place as well. Because sometimes if we take a shortcut, we don't appreciate where we've reached, and so we need to go through everything and then reach that place and appreciate it even more. And I think that's what has happened in my life. So no regrets at all. The next question is, do you feel any societal or family pressure to settle down? Settling down is so vague, because do you ever settle down? Do you ever say that you are settled? Because life changes in a second and you can never ever be settled down. But I understand what you're asking. Thankfully, I don't feel that pressure, whether it is from my family or society. I am very sure of the fact that everyone's timeline is different, everyone's life journey is different, and I can see that even in my own life. Like, things didn't happen in the same way it has happened with my friends, and so when we can apply that to other things, we can definitely apply it to settling down. So I am very sure of that, and I think that is where I don't feel the pressure, because I know there is this whole thing about, oh, you're 30, you haven't gotten married, you haven't had children. But I am very sure that my timing is going to be different than other people's timing, or what other people say it should be, and that timing is going to be perfect. So knowing that in my head, it makes it easier to not feel pressured by anything. There is a time for everything. There is a season for everything, as they say. And so whatever season you're in right now, enjoy it. Don't feel the pressure of going to the next season, because whenever the time is right, that season will come, and then you have to deal with that season, and you have to enjoy that season, and you will be fulfilled by the season. But be fulfilled in the now, because that is also important. I want to make the most of right now, because I'm not going to get right now back ever again. I'm not going to be 30 ever again, and I want to make the most of my year. The last question is, what are your goals for the upcoming days? In general, I want to obviously be satisfied and happy always with my life. I want to be living my life in a way that is productive, that is in line with my purpose, that is giving me that fulfillment, that sense of fulfillment, that I am doing what I'm meant to be doing. I want to feel that on a daily basis. I want to focus in on doing the things that give me joy and satisfaction, and fulfillment, and those are usually things that are in line with what I would call my calling, the calling on my life, the purpose of my life. And the more I do those things, the more I spend time doing those things, I think I will be happier. Currently that usually happens when I'm doing things like writing, when I'm doing things like making videos, editing videos, when I'm doing things like public speaking. Those are the moments where I feel the most like this is what I was meant to do. And so I want to do more of those. I am so grateful for my 20s and for all that it has taught me, and I'm so ready for my 30s, because I think I have reached a stage of assurance in who I am and what my identity is and what my purpose is. And I think that gives me a sense of clarity before I enter this next decade of my life. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your questions, and I hope that I was able to give you some insight into my life. And I hope that whichever stage in life that you are, that you make the most of it, you accept it for what it is, and seek out for more.